Welcome to the Kino Cave, and today we're continuing the X-Men series with X-Men Origins Wolverine. I can't believe that for the first time in this series I don't have to put a disclaimer about the director being an asshole, but it's for like the worst one. This is a complicated franchise. I do have the window cracked open just a little bit because it's hot. It's a hot one out there today. So if there's a little bit of background noise like birds chirping and stuff, forgive me. It's hot. So, I loved X-Men Origins Wolverine when I was a kid. I really did. I think I just loved the grittiness of it, like the gritty kind of wartime Vietnam kind of vibes that it had. It was just like a kind of a weirdly edgy kind of action movie and stuff. I think I just wanted to be like Hugh Jackman Wolverine fighting in all the wars with the claws and everything like that. And I think that's why this movie just kind of really kept my interest. And in fairness, I can see why, watching it all these years later, why it would keep like a 10-year-old entertained. I even have dog tags because of this movie. I was obsessed with dog tags because of how much I loved this movie. And I like begged my parents to get them. I got like really cheap ones to start, but more recently then I got like proper nice dog tags made out of like sterling silver and stuff. So yes, these are my dog tags. I've yet to get them engraved because just haven't had the time. But yeah, these are pretty much, I have them because of X-Men Origins Wolverine. So like I'm gonna be tearing into this movie, but I do owe a lot to it. So getting straight into like the story and characters, I really like the opening in Canada when he's just getting like developing his powers. I think that is really really cool and really interesting. Although I didn't need like a twist 5 minutes into the film about like his father being a different guy. We didn't need any of that. We just needed him to like commit a murder with the claws and then jump straight into like the war stuff and all that. But yeah, I did quite like the opening. I like seeing him get his powers for the first time, and it just like it's really nice demonstrating how old he actually is. Like he's like 200 years old or something. So this is a pretty tired talking point when you're talking about this movie, but I may as well say it anyway for the sake of saying it. The opening montage, which I have a screenshot from behind me, should have been the movie. Like just him and his brother going through all these different wars and all these different experiences and stuff. The whole movie is like really fucking boring. And if you just made it like all of this and then ended with him getting the adamantium injected into him, that would have been maybe a bit more of a satisfying origin. The pacing of this movie is insane. Like, it is breakneck from the opening scene right up until Vietnam when they're on like the super secret missions. It's like crazy fast. But then it comes to a screeching halt when he's trying to live in Canada with his girlfriend and stuff, and it slows right down, and it's really slow for a lot, and then the pace comes back to like being breakneck again. It's kind of like the way the action is filmed. That represents the whole movie of just really slow, then really fast, then really slow. I hesitate to say this because it is kind of it feels kind of insulting as like a filmmaker who's recently finished film school and talking about this, but goddamn, the screenplay feels like it was written by a first year film student. Just a lot of tons of exposition, like tons and tons of exposition, and so many like self-serious lines like, "You wanted the animal, Colonel? Well, you got it. It was real for me." This is an objectively really silly movie. Like, you can talk about how serious the X-Men movies can be, and I love how serious they are in kind of the earlier films when they're covering these deep themes of oppression and all these different oppression of minorities and things like that, and that's really interesting. But it never goes away from the fact that yeah, it's silly that they have all these powers and the costumes and stuff. But X-Men Origins Wolverine. I'm just gonna call it Wolverine Origins because that's like the short-term name that everybody has for it. This movie is so desperate to be self-serious, but the story of it is so objectively hilarious. Like, just make it fun. Either make it serious with all the wars, or make it fun and about like espionage and like super secret like adamantium shit. So yeah, just little like story issues I have. They should have just erased his memory like right away when Logan had the adamantium put in him. I mean, that's what they did in the comic books, and that works, and you're adapting it. But I guess they wanted to keep the emotion of the story, and you need to set up that twist with his girlfriend at the end, so we can't erase his memory right away. We need a bullet to be able to do it. There's one section of this movie that I do really like, though, and it's the section with the old couple. Like, because at this point, Wolverine has been, like, betrayed left, right, and center by, like, everybody he knows. Like, he's been through it all. But then he meets this nice old couple, and he gets to spend time with, like, decent people. And they actually, like, one of the really nice bits of writing is when they say, like, oh, it wouldn't have been decent to leave you out in the cold. And, like, Wolverine, like Logan takes a second and, you know, remembers what it's like for decent people to exist. I really like all of that stuff, and it's just really nice. Unfortunately, it's cut very short, though, by a terrible action scene. Tonally, this film is fucked. Like, it's like, again, such an objectively silly premise of, like you're combining everybody's powers, like all these mutants' powers, like the laser vision and the teleportation and the mutant healing, and combining them all into this one dude who's going to have all of them, and you're going to call him Deadpool for some reason. Like, that's a hilariously silly plot, but the film is so self-serious about it. Like, there's so many twists and turns throughout, but it takes them all incredibly seriously. It makes very little sense. Like, either go with it being silly, or make the plot a little less silly if you're going to go the serious route. Just on Gambit, I do like Gambit. Taylor Kitsch, I think, does a good job. I think in a better movie he would be, like, really, really good, and with a better costume. I actually don't even mind his costume. It's like a purple shirt with a trench coat. It's okay. I like it. Yeah, Gambit is okay. The angle might be slightly different because I had to change the battery, so just deal with it. Another issue I have with this movie is character motivations switch up a lot. Like, you know, the girlfriend changes motivations basically on a dime. Wolverine is, like, letting go of everything, but then he comes back when she, like, switches up her motivation at the end, and just none of these characters make sense. None of them feel like actual people, because they do things because the plot needs them to do them. It's just really poor written. It's really poor storytelling. This is not an X-Men movie. There does not need to be so many connections to wider X-Men movies. Cyclops does not need to be in this. It's so dumb. And Professor X also does not need to be in this movie. This could have just been a standalone thing with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Do you know what did do that? The Wolverine, the movie. James Mangold's The Wolverine. It had, like, very little connection to the rest of the films aside from, like, just setting up where Wolverine's character is at the beginning. And everything else is, like, completely on its own, except for, like, a post-credit scene at the end or something. You don't need all these, like, forced connections to the other movies. So, I know I'm trashing this movie a lot, but there are things that I really do like throughout, such as the score. Harry Gregson Williams did a really, really good score. I, like, threw like, the main theme that plays over, like, the opening in one of my playlists, and it's really nice to listen to it. It's got a really nice kind of feel to it, and it does feel uniquely Wolverine, of that kind of tragic loner type score, which I really, really like. So, well done, Harry Gregson Williams. You managed to save some of the vibe of this movie. I really like Hugh Jackman, obviously. Like, you know, he's never going to be bad in any of these movies. He's always going to play a good Wolverine. And I also really like Liev Schreiber. I know that people are kind of iffy about this version of Sabretooth. I think Liev Schreiber is genuinely really good in this, and I like him as an actor in general, and, you know, I think he's pretty cool. So, again, like, given better writing, I think he would have absolutely nailed this. Okay, that's kind of it for the story. On to the filmmaking, and unfortunately this is also where most of my compliments end. Such as the CGI, which we all know about the CGI clause, and yes, it looks fucking terrible. It is amateurish and completely needless, because you can do those. There are cosplays that look awesome with the claws. You did not need to do them with CGI. And also the wire work is kind of embarrassing, like, especially towards the beginning, but also a lot towards the end as well. But even in the beginning, when, like, Sabretooth is doing his, like that, and Zero does, like, a big why is he called Zero? or is it X? I can't remember. He does a big backflip, but it just the wires may as well be there. It would make more sense if the wires were just there. The action is really poorly shot and really poorly edited. There's one or two okay shots throughout some of the action, but a lot of it is very quick cutty. A lot of like just noise, visual and audible noise throughout the film. Yeah, really poor action scenes, really boring action, which is just unfortunate. Just a couple of things on the overall look. I love the red shirt jacket combo. It looks cool. It's really cool. Again, as I said, I alluded to it towards the beginning. I really like that look, that kind of rugged look, and I've definitely kind of taken some of that in my personal style as well. So good job, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Costuming department, I guess. You did one really great costume. Unfortunately, it was only one. The Deadpool design sucks ass. There's no debate amongst that. Again, this is one of those kind of tired talking points that I just figured I'd mention because it'd be weird if I didn't mention it. But yeah, I mean, everybody says this. The Deadpool design is terrible. Even the future Deadpool movies talk about how the Deadpool design is terrible. There's no need for all the black lines. They try to make it look like Deadpool in the face by sewing his mouth shut. Yes, sewing his mouth shut is like probably the worst way to adapt that kind of a character. You know, he's a character who's known for talking all the time. They do weird black shit around his eyes to give him that look, which look terrible regardless. None of his powers are recognizable as Deadpool. They make the swords come out of his wrists like Wolverine's claws, which makes no sense. How does he bend his wrist? How does he even, like, they're too long for his forearms. Like, how does he bend his elbow? Like, I know you can kind of say that about Wolverine's claws as well, but at least they're only like a foot long, so you can kind of get away with it. But I mean, yeah, like everything about it is terrible. Like, there's no redeeming factor for this version of Deadpool, except for the fact that I guess Ryan Reynolds is like a good actor towards the beginning. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he's fine at the beginning. He's not really great Deadpool wise, but at least Ryan Reynolds is good at playing that kind of a character. And towards the end, I can't remember. I'll have to fact check this, but I think it's Scott Adkins doing it towards the end, so it's not even him. So yeah, there's no redeeming qualities of Deadpool at the end of this movie. And at least we got like the more true to form version of Deadpool blowing his head off at the end of Deadpool 2, so that's fun, I guess. Except for the action, I think this film is shot reasonably well. There's some interesting camera moves. I like the kind of older style that it goes for. It does feel kind of like a movie from the 80s, kind of like a Vietnam kind of movie, like, you know, like Predator or something. So that's kind of cool. I like that. This is all the really, really dumb stuff that happens in the movie that I just wanted to put into one part of this video because holy shit, this is a dumb movie. Will.i.am has no business being in this movie. He should just stick to doing the voice kids or whatever the fuck he does. Like, what is he even doing here? He's a terrible actor. He can't even pull off, like, the casual kind of talking acting. Yeah, I mean, why is he here? Like, I don't understand why he's here. Why was he hired? Is it just because he's famous? But these movies are already famous. You didn't need, like, celebrities to be in this to sell it. Wolverine's name has a stupid origin. Stupid story about a moon wolf or something. Can it not just be that he has claws and that's kind of like a Wolverine? Like, he's got claws, his teeth are kind of sharp, and he can smell shit. Just, like, Wolverines are cool already. You don't need to give him a stupid moon origin to make it deep. Again, this is like, you know, as if it was written by like an 18-year-old who's like just learning about screenwriting. And he's like, oh, it's gonna be so deep. I'm gonna link his name to this old story. And it's going to be so cool. And it's like, no, it just comes off as trying too hard. Something I only noticed on this watch of the movie, that somehow on the millions of times I watched it as a kid, and I did watch it again like a couple of years ago, because I was going through all the X-Men movies, as I like to do. But I only noticed this time watching it, that Logan and Sabretooth have the same beard. Exact same beard. It's just kind of, that's just kind of fun. I just found that funny. I don't know, does that have any value in this video or in any kind of critique of the movie? this isn't even I'm not critiquing anything by saying this. They just have the same beard, and I think that's funny. Again, this segment is all about the stupid stuff in this movie, so I just wrote Victor's trench coat. It's a big black trench coat, because The Matrix came out 10 years ago. So yeah. Naked Hugh Jackman scream running. Like, I actually like that. I think that's hilarious. That they should not have cut that from the movie at all, but it is stupid, so it's going in the stupid section. Hugh Jackman scream running. The walk away from the green screen explosion. That's hilarious. You gotta love a good walk away from a green screen explosion. Isn't Wolverine such a badass because he walks away from an explosion that's not really there? Okay, this is something that genuinely bothers me, and it bothered me even as a child. Will.i.am has absolutely no business being here, but he says, do not mention Kevin Durand's weight. I can't remember. It's the Blob, okay? But he's Kevin Durand, and he's really good in that new Planet of the Apes movie. So yeah, Kevin Durand, he's great in that new Planet of the Apes movie. You should watch it. I recommend. Just squeezing in a review for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes into this review. But anyway, Will.i.am says don't mention his weight. And it's a funny thing because then he calls him Bub, but then Kevin Durand thinks that he said Blob, and then that starts a fight. And yeah, that's great. It's hilarious. It's hilarious for a 10-year-old. But he mentions his weight twice before then, and Kevin Durand pays no attention to it at all. Like, he goes, hey, fat Fred. Like, he's just not supposed to have heard that. He's just having the conversation. Like, he should have been able to hear that. And then he calls him Slim in that sarcastic kind of way. Maybe Kevin Durand just can't pick up on sarcasm. Not the actor Kevin Durand, the character. I can't remember his name. All right, he's got a tattoo of a chick on his arm. But it takes him misunderstanding the word Bob as Blob to make him fight. Speaking of the Blob, he's got big CGI man breasts. Again, I just wrote Scott Summers as Bart Simpson because there's like a shot that's literally just the shot from the opening of The Simpsons when Bart's drawing on the not drawing, he's writing the different things on the blackboard, and Scott Summers is doing that, and it's the exact same angle. Like they can't not have just been like, this is the shot from The Simpsons. I refuse to believe that was an accident. Deadpool's name also has a stupid origin. It's Deadpool. Because they're dead and they pooled their powers together. There are like 3 twists as well. There's probably even more. I mean, there's a twist at the beginning where Wolverine's dad isn't actually Wolverine's dad. That makes no sense. Well, no, it doesn't make. It's not that it makes no sense. Actually, it's that it has no place in this film for that to be a thing. Like, why? Why does it need to? I don't know. So yeah, there's another twist with the girlfriend, and then there's the losing the memory thing. How did I not put down the adamantium bullet being in the stupid section? Oh, never mind. It's the next one. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, there's like so many weird twists and turns for the story to take. There's like the Sabretooth saving Logan and all that. That's a twist. It's kind of got that same problem that like that Argyle movie had, where they think that just because they're throwing in a load of twists at you that it's going to make for an engaging story. But for one thing, you shouldn't have so many. And for another thing, you need to care about the story for those twists to work. Anyway, the last really stupid thing is the memory erasing adamantium bullet gun. A memory erasing bullet made out of adamantium. It's just like it's the most ridiculously stupid way for him to have his amnesia in the X-Men movies. It doesn't. Why X-Men Origins Wolverine? Why? So that's been my review. Do you know what? Just gonna say outright, the writing in this movie is terrible. But I guess there was a writer's strike like a couple of years prior, and also a lot of this I think was studio meddling and just the studio being like, hey, you need to create like a bunch of connections to the X-Men movies, and this needs to create a whole series of origin movies and stuff. And so I don't want to lay too much blame on the writer and director. Although I did look up the director, I can't remember the guy's name now. Unfortunately, I'll put it here. And his only other credits are kind of those B movie action kind of ones that make a return on their budget, but they're not really great. So, I it's just look. I like being positive on here. I do. I'm a very optimistic guy when it comes to movies. I try to find the good in all of it, and there's really good stuff in this movie. And I would definitely watch it for the nostalgia, because I loved it so much as a kid. And again, like I have the dog tags and all the kind of style and stuff I really like. And I would like watch the opening again. Like actually, getting this screenshot, I decided to just watch the opening again, because I really like it, and I really like the score. Harry Gregson Williams really cooked on the score, but you just can't save this movie. Like it's bad. It's a bad 2 out of 5 movie, unfortunately, and it pains me to say, because I really love the X-Men movies, and luckily, this is the worst one in my opinion. The next one is one of my favorites, so I'm really excited to bring that one to you in 20 days. Then there's Days of Future Past, I think. No, it's the Wolverine after that, which I really like. Days of Future Past is awesome. Why am I spoiling the reviews, actually? I should be... You don't get to... You have to wait. I'm making you wait to know what I think of the rest of them. That all being said, though, let me know what you thought of this review. I hope it turns out okay, because I find it really hard to like hate on movies that much, which is why I just kind of like talking positively about stuff. But I guess that's not the way it should go, shouldn't it? Negativity is what people thrive on the internet, but fuck it, I'm putting my stuff out there, and you can enjoy that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Go watch X-Men Origins Wolverine if you want, but I can't... Do you know what? Like, watch it with like a bunch of friends and just have a drink and laugh about how hilarious it is. That's like the optimum way to watch this movie. Because yeah, I to be fair, I did make the mistake of watching it at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon sober. Maybe if I'd watched it at like 11 p.m. and a little bit inebriated, then maybe I would have had a better time. But hey, yeah, I hope you're enjoying the X-Men series, guys. Next week I've got a really cool video lined up for you guys about Superman, so look forward to that, and I hope you have a really great day.